Welcome to the Great African Leadership Series, where we feature great inspirational speeches and quotes from African leaders.
The clarity with which Kwame Nkrumah articulated issues relating to agriculture is something that I found quite relevant. Indeed, one of the things that stands out, even in those early days, was his belief that apart from attaining political independence, true liberation would only be realized by Africa if Africa could feed herself. And those who write about him recognize that one of his early obsessions was the greening of the Sahara Desert, even in those early days. And if you look at some of the activities that he initiated in those early days, the imagination to create a university that would focus on agriculture and technology, it was in many ways an appreciation of the fact that Africa could only realize her potential if she could feed her people. Africa, the triple heritage. And since Ali Mazrui traveled in different parts of Africa, talking about different things, nobody has done a documentary of that nature. And in one of the segments in that presentation, there is one statement that stands out from Ali Mazrui, that Africa produces what it does not consume and consumes what it does not produce. So going forward, what one must ask, particularly an organization such as AGRA and NEPAD and the African Union, what real interventions must be made in Nigeria? Because Nigeria is a true potential giant in that regard. If Nigeria were to wake up from her slumber, then the entire West African region would wake up from her slumber. Because one has analyzed Nigeria and the plight of Nigeria and our inability as we speak now to produce enough food for herself, one need not analyze Mali. One need not analyze Senegal. One need not analyze the little Benin and the little Togo and the little Gabon and the little Cameroon, because the story is the same in that part of the world. Those of you who have gone to that part of the world, getting milk in the shelves of the stores in those countries is as difficult as getting snow in hell. So there is a sense in which we must ask ourselves the critical question: why is it that those interventions don't make us realize our potential? One sometimes, as one looks to the future and one looks at Congo, a country that is as big as the entire Western Europe, and yet Congo, with a population of no more than 80 million, yet Congo, whose perhaps 90% of our land is arable, one asks the question, if that land were to be utilized productively, that land could feed the entire Africa. In fact, I remember now it being said of Congo that it is capable of doing three things which could liberate Africa. That Congo is capable of generating enough hydroelectric power to cover the entire Africa. That Congo has waters in her rivers that could irrigate the entire Sahara Desert. Of course, some of it is exaggerated, but it's exaggerated deliberately to demonstrate to us the levels of underutilization of that potential. That the Congolese soil is capable of producing enough food for the entire Africa. One asks the question, what must one do in order to unlock the potential of the Democratic Republic of Congo? One asks the same question of Angola. If Angola were to use her land effectively and liberate herself from the chains of dependency on oil, what could Angola achieve? all these things have to be brought to bear. And one must conclude by saying that one is simply giving the ideas, but I think that the game changer in Africa, the game changer in Africa at the critical level is at the level of the fish not rotting at the head. I think that is fundamentally the problem, that all these beautiful ideas that are being generated, there is no sense of implementation, so that you'll find that individuals in government will actually undermine agriculture because they are the major importers of maize. So they don't want it to succeed. They'll undermine rice production because they are importing rice. But if you look at countries that are beginning to think about their countries, look at countries like Japan, with nothing. They are encouraging the growing of rice in little sacks in people's households. So there are many things, but yet even in the face of all that, I refuse to give up hope. Because I hold the view that this continent can realize our potential. And sometimes you who are present there may think that you are doing nothing. But let me tell you, ask yourself, as one policeman once asked me, when we were in the business of condemning policemen in the 1990s, he says, let us today as policemen announce that we have withdrawn our services for 1 week. It is only then that you would know that our presence contributes to something. Just ask yourself the question, suppose Agra were to withdraw her services where you are working today. You may think you have a bad situation, but it would be desperate if you left, which means that your intervention is worth something. You may not solve it, and as I grow older, I no longer look for solutions which are dramatic, which will happen in my lifetime. I hold the view that is block by block, that those who plant the tree are different from those who water it. And those who prune the tree are different from those who will ultimately enjoy the shade. It is generational. If you look at it that way, then you will be comfortable in the knowledge that you only play your part, and play it so well that when you go to sleep, you have a decent 5-hour sleep. That is the only way. Thank you.
And share this video with friends and family to support the channel.